So it's been about a week since Flins did release for the second half of 6.0, and since then I have practically done nothing but use him only, to be honest, because, there's not really much else to do. And so today I'm here with my first impressions on Flins. Before I do get into the video, be sure to check the description below to join the Discord server if you're interested in talking to other people about Genshin Impact, and even other games like Honkai Star Rail and stuff like Arknights and Wuthering Waves. Not just gacha related though, there is a general channel that you can use if you want to talk about practically anything else. With that being said, let's get straight into the video. So Flins was probably the most hyped character I've been for in a while. Well, actually not in a while. I think Skirk would be the last one, which wasn't that long ago. It was only like, what, 2-3 patches ago? But you get it. So when they did the whole reveal for Not Cry, Flins was like the most excited I was for a character besides Columbina. His design was absolutely sick. He had one of my favorite Japanese voice actors being Nakamura Yuichi. So the fact that they gave him such a sick design and also such a godlike voice actor, I was so goddamn excited. So he was at like the top when it came to priority. And once the beta stuff started rolling around, we got to see his animations and what his like attack string and such look like, what he did in his kit. I was excited. And I also pulled an Nefa just for him because we kind of had info going around that he was going to be a Lunar Charge DPS. So I did end up picking up a Nefa just for him, but I ended up liking a Nefa a lot when I did the 5.8 story, the one, whatever the hell the Nefa was in. That story really got me to like her, so I probably would have pulled regardless. But more or less, I did pull a Nefa just for him. And then again, all the stuff came out, we got to see what he did, and he was indeed a Lunar Charge DPS. His animations were so cool. I was so upset that he was going to be another character where his burst, like his big cool burst, was not the optimal way to play. Because they gave him such a good burst animation just for what? Just to not use it? I actually hate when Genshin does that. They do it so many times where they make a character, at least as a reason, where their ultimate is so cool, but it is just a DPS loss. There are rotations where you can get like a big burst right away and still have enough energy to do 2 mini bursts, but it's not optimal. Or was it 1 mini burst? I can't remember off the top of my head, but more or less it's not optimal. But yeah, when they did it with Arlecchino, I was super upset. Baressa has a really cool animation, but it's also a damage waste. Chaska is really clean and smooth, and it's also a damage loss, and it's just like, bro. So the fact that a character I was super hyped for unfortunately got that same treatment, I was like really sad. Because the way he plays the animation, and then he swings the lamp to the other side with that cool effect, and then the big explosions happening around him for Lunar Charge damage, it's so cool. At least on the bright side, it isn't super bad. It's not optimal again, but it's not like an insane DPS loss. Like, you can still do it if you want. But yeah, once we did see his gameplay, we saw that he infused his weapon with Electro. Then you do a mini burst to do the main Lunar Electro Charge, which is like where all his damage comes from. I was definitely excited, but my main gripe was I don't really like how his downtime was when it came outside of that. You know, the actual swings themselves do like next to no damage, and then the one big hit is what you get. Usually, I'm a big fan of characters that have their damage practically just to be up for as long as possible. At least with Flins, you get enough energy on his proper rotations to do it relatively frequently, so it's not like you wait 30 years to do a big hit like someone like Eula would be. If we got like a more modernized Eula, I'd probably fall asleep because I myself never liked using Eula. So at least it's not something that you have to wait like 30 business years for. And also on the bright side, the mini charged burst actually does do a lot of damage. Like that Lunar Charge doing like 200, 300, 400k plus is insane. And my Flins, as of right now, is C0R1, but R1 as in Sino's weapon. I don't actually have a signature, so the fact that his damage for that hit can go up by getting C1, by getting his own actual weapon. And I think what would make me like him a lot more when it came to usage-wise would be his C2, but I'll talk more about that a little later. But yeah, animations-wise, he was so cool. When you did get to use him a bit in the actual story, not like actually use him, but you get to see his attack string, it just felt really nice. But yeah, I was also under the impression that he was going to be like a really like edgelord type character. One that might actually fit under the characters that I like that usually are my favorites, but we got him in the story and he is really not that at all. The perfect way I can describe him is something my friend said. Not exactly, but he looks emo, so he's like emo Argenti. So Argenti, a character from Star Rail. Obviously minus the beauty stuff, but just, I don't know, the way he talks, his demeanor, all that stuff, he really is just like an emo Argenti. Ever since my friend said that, I can't get that out of my mind. I like Argenti, but he is like not really a character I'd go crazy over. And I don't really hyper invest into characters like C2 plus unless they're like, characters I really like. I'd have to really like them and also really like using them. So for Flins, once I did the story fully for Not Cry, I had my expectations die down a little bit. In the end, I plan on maybe getting like C1 or C2 if I'm lucky. Then the actual banner ended up hitting, and I didn't get so lucky if you saw my summon video. So I stopped at C0. I'm currently at almost 70 pity guaranteed. And I'm still debating on actually if I want to use it on him rather than just saving it for someone else. Not because he's bad by any means, like his performance at C0 and against Sino's weapon is extremely strong. Like again, his damage 200, 300, 400, 500 sometimes K when it comes to his big mini burst lunar charge hit. That damage is really satisfying, but I really don't know what it is. He didn't end up being as fun as I thought he would. Maybe it's just I don't really like the downtime on the mini burst where you're kind of just swinging and you're doing like 4k 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 4k, oh 200k 4k 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 200k. I don't know, maybe that's why. I don't actually know exactly on why I don't find him like as fun as I would. Not boring by any means, but he's not like insanely fun. Like he's not, oh my god, I love this character so much, I'm going to use him like at all times. Which is kind of why I also kind of went against getting his C1, and I'm thinking to save it for a team that I actually like using a lot, like C1 Escoffier for my Skirk team. Another way I could probably make him a lot more fun to me in particular is by getting his C2, which makes his actual hits become Lunar Electric Charge rather than just the big burst hit. But at the same time, that would also require me to use my guarantee and then potentially go to pity again, potentially lose, and then potentially go to pity again. So that's kind of why I don't want to risk it, because Genshin isn't my main gacha, so I don't want to spend like crazy like that. So I think the way C2 would work could potentially make him like significantly more fun for me. But it's also the fact that I did mention I like him in the story, but he's not really the character that I thought he would be, which is kind of my fault for expecting it anyways, because this could be anything. It's never just about design and how their design will make them act. I definitely understand why a lot of people love him a lot. But for me, in particular, he's not like a character I'm super crazy over. Like, I'd probably get him regardless. And so I'm very, very much thinking to just leave him at C0 and let him hold Sino's weapon, because I have characters that can hold Sino's weapon, but I think for him, it's practically perfect. Big crit rate stick, so you don't really need any crit rate rolls. The weapon effect giving you attack base after EM is quite literally just perfect, since Lunar Charge is going to scale off the EM and also attack. So both of that just works great. I know C1 would be great. It would also up the ER requirements, which would be a little bit annoying for my farming. But E1 would significantly increase his performance, and his C2 would significantly increase his performance. And then another thing is, at C0, he is insanely strong. Like, I mentioned his damage feels like weird when it's just one big hit, but that doesn't mean he's weak by any means. I don't actually know how his calculations and DPR compares to the other electric characters, but I'm pretty sure it is around Veresso level. Again, I might be wrong. I'm not saying this wholeheartedly, but he is insanely strong. Nonetheless, I don't care about his calculations. If you have him, you have his proper team, that guy does insane damage. You can very much notice the fall off if you don't have Inefa, but it's still completely fine. Even without Inefa, he does do very solid damage, and he functions really well at C0R0 even. But yeah, with his team being Inefa, Sucrose, and also last slot being whatever you want. For a Hydro, I don't have C6 Ino, so unfortunately I can't use it there, so I just use Yelan or sometimes Xingqiu instead. His damage is really, really strong and definitely exceeded how much I thought he would do. When I saw some showcases and some calculations, I was a bit iffy on the damage he would do, but when I actually used them, and I'm like, damn, his damage is really good. So on the bright side, he is a very strong character, and is definitely a great consideration, especially if you're like a Husbando enjoyer. Maybe you don't want to pull the other electric DPS, like the longest one was Raiden at C2 or something. Then we got Chlorin, then we also got Veressa. Veressa was like at the top, and now you have Flins for another option. So for people like that, and also maybe people that don't want to spend too much, you really can just get Flins, you can get Inefa, and you are quite literally set. Third slot can be Sucrose. Fourth slot could be Xingqiu even, and if you want to use Ino, even if you don't have C6, she still does work, and boom, you have a really strong team. Very powerful character, and I'm really glad they did make him really strong and cook on his kit. A lot of my friends and a lot of people that talk about him are having a lot of fun with this kit. Unfortunately, the way he works completely is just not something for me, so I don't know if I'm actually going to continue to invest in him. I'm probably just going to keep him as he is against C0, Sino's weapon. I have Inefa and her weapon, and his team is practically set. So my first impressions is, unfortunately, he's not really a me character in the story or personality-wise. I don't really have the greatest fun with him when it comes to usage, but he is insanely strong, and I am not going to downplay him whatsoever. He is insanely powerful. Can't wait to see what more teams that people cook up for him. I can't wait to see what more teammates he does get and how it increases his overall damage. But that does bring my first impressions to a close. If you guys did pull for him, definitely let me know how you guys are enjoying him as well. Did you get his weapon, C1, C2, C6 even? Definitely comment down below how you feel. If you did find this video enjoyable, dropping a like would be greatly appreciated. If you're new to the channel or haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe and turn the bell icon for future videos like this, along with all other types of Star content. Remember to check the description to join the Discord server, and I'll see you later. Peace out.